And welcome back.
And welcome back. We're moving into our final segment for today. And it's a part of the Meet the Author program that the National Heritage Library has. And we have a librarian, editor, author, and poet, Feline Swasso. And we have visual artist, Richard Holder. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning and thank you for having us.
Morning.
Now, Feline, let's start off by talking about the Meet the Author program. How long has it been around and its general objectives?
Okay. Meet the Author has been around since March 2009. The first featured poet or honorary author was Mrs. Felicia Hernandez. And basically, the idea, the genesis of this was the year before. I went to El Salvador for training with the Library for Conservation. And I saw on the walls of El Salvador's library, their national library, gigantic posters of their literary artists. And I said, we should do something like this in Belize. And unfortunately, our tradition, and of course not just Belize, is we honor people after they're already gone. And so they don't get to know how much we appreciate their work.
Yeah.
So I said, let's start a list. We'll list some of the premier literary artists and we will honor them in a way that they can come and just feel comfortable, talk about their work, have the audience engage with them, kind of break that barrier. As you well know, writing is a very lonely profession. You're sitting there for hours writing and writing, you're editing, whatever your contribution is in the literary arts, and you bring it out, and of course some people like it, some people don't. You also get a lot of criticism, so I felt that this was the opportunity to bring this, and again to honor those who are here with us right now.
Have you seen through this program what I would consider the need for this seismic shift from not only wait till they're dead, but also wait till they're internationally acknowledged before we can acknowledge it here? Have you seen it making an impact on that level?
Yeah, well, that one, it is kind of speaking to that as well.
Yeah.
But that was not the original intention, and it's a positive side effect of that. What we noticed, though, the students, usually tertiary level students and secondary level students who come afterwards, they would say, wow, I knew this person wrote, but I didn't know they wrote so much.
Yeah.
So it does, the objectives are met in that way when we get the feedback from the audience.
In terms of the audience that you try to attract to actually come and physically meet the author, who do you target? And you spoke just now about their general reaction, but how many aha moments have you seen in terms of people recognizing the talent that really exists in the writing community here?
Okay, we have had now 7 authors, and now this is Dr. Joseph Palacio is the 8th author. And so the thing that happens is each experience is an experience, because every author, they choose to either use it as a platform to share a message, or they use it as an opportunity to engage about their work. So what I find is the target audience, of course, tertiary level students, secondary level students, and the community, people who are into the arts for the most part. And it has become a following, something that people look forward to. And I can't really say much beyond just the feedback that we get,
Now, the concept behind Meet the Author is not just showcasing the authors that we do have here and the work that they've done. You also get a lot of insight into these individual persons and what prompted them to express themselves in any way, shape, or form. Do you find that the authors are, because in Belize, one, we feel that everybody already knows our story because it's such a small community, or two, we're also scared of a lot of judgment from our society. Do you find the authors being open to just bearing it all, being photographed and depicted as the artists that they really are?
I find that many of them handle it well.
Yeah.
I can't say that
there's no hesitation?
No, they're very open, and they're so pleased, they're so grateful that they are being recognized in this way by the National Library.
Yeah.
So actually as I said, we had a list, and I'll kind of put down my own veil and say that I was not sure how much support I would get from the administration. So I made two. I made two in a row for the first year. The first year I did Felicia Hernandez. We honored Felicia Hernandez, and then after that we honored Sir Colville Young. And I thought to myself, well, we kind of went all out, and I say I don't know how many more we can do. Administration, it's expensive. It's an effort not only for our branch and the team at the National Heritage Library, but also for our headquarters. So I said, okay, let's keep on going, and down the list, it was kind of hard to coordinate with Mrs. Z. Edgell, and so she actually brought forth the gratitude that she felt, and she was saying how she had never been honored before in Belize on that scale, and I was quite surprised by that, and I of course came to investigate and realize the same thing that I had
internationally endorsed.
There's that, and also that we don't do it often enough. Like, we maybe on the ground might say this person in our industry, they have contributed so much. Like for me, it's Mr. Lawrence Vernon. I wanted him to be the first, but I said no, that would seem like nepotism because he's in the library service. But he has done so much as a writer and also as a librarian, that he deserves that type of recognition. So when she brought forth this, I said, okay, this meets the objective. And so many of the other authors have also mentioned the same thing, that the level of gratitude they feel of being recognized, and their contribution over time, and what they want to, all of them have works coming forth, that is encouraging.
It prompts them to keep the work going. Richard, I'm sorry.
Just to get Richard in the conversation, why did you actually decide to participate in this program?
Well, I am interested in documenting historical portraits of people. So that was right up my alley. And I know her. We met at Image Factory. Because she's a writer as well, no?
Yes.
And I had taken her portrait for a project called She. And well, I do this for free. I mean, the portraits I shoot, there's no charge, right? It's because I have an interest in documenting these people's portraits, especially considering everything that she had said just now, which I feel that a lot of people still, in Belize who have historical significance have not yet been captured, properly, professionally in a portrait. So it's kind of like, I guess, one of my missions as a photographer here. You know what I mean?
Agree.
What's because very often a lot of the people who write are also very private people.
Yes.
So how do you capture a sense? Because I like the one with Sir Colville. Having had an opportunity to talk to him, you get a little window into his personal, and Miss Lita as well.
Yes, of course.
Into their personalities.
That Mona Lisa smile, right? Check it out.
It is. That's what I thought of immediately. But and because he doesn't do a lot, he doesn't do media. We don't know a lot, so there's a mystery there as well. So how do you capture them? Because if you look at Ms. Lita's picture, for example, you look at it, and any person who knows her, that's her personality.
She's smiling, she's bubbly.
It's that ray of sunshine when you see her. So how do you work with them to get them comfortable enough to show that aspect of their personality?
Good question. Well, you have to basically break ice with them. You know what I mean? That is a technique that they don't teach you in school. They teach you how to shoot with a camera and maybe light something, or it's up to you to learn something afterwards, right? That to me is an essential part of capturing somebody in a portrait, is to be able to make them feel comfortable, converse with them, and then let the true person come out. But they have to, it really takes a few minutes before you get to that particular picture. And with Z. Edgell, for example, she doesn't smile. She came into the studio and said, I don't smile. I asked her to smile, and I said, and I was like, doing this dance in a way, trying to get her to smile, and at the end she did it. We managed to break through that barrier, because especially for these people, especially most of them, I would say, they're uncomfortable in front of the camera. That's the truth. Maybe it's because of like you said, that solo approach to writing, really, out there, it's a private thing, plus you don't get a lot of recognition. I mean, somebody want to take a picture suddenly, might feel, But what's all this? You come into a studio, you see all the lights, and this dude with a camera. Helps that I'm cute, but you know, it's an intimidating thing, though.
It is.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, is it your aim to be able to showcase the type of personality that they have?
Yes. Everybody knows when you're trying to capture a picture of a person, I don't want to capture anything awkward at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not that in-between take I'm trying to capture. I'm trying to capture a picture of them, but at the same time, a picture they will enjoy. Yeah. So I have to please them too. It's a bit commercial, but also trying to capture a more positive part of them.
Because you could have done book cover photos with them, just smile with a background.
Dr. Corinne Mortel Lewis used her portrait in a book.
Yeah.
Yes,
And yeah.
No, but the stereotypical is the smile and the.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's easy. That's commercial
camera.
photography, you know.
Yeah.
And why opt for black and white?
Black and white is timeless. Black and white is, you know, it's not dated by color. It's just, it could be any time. We know that. That's an inherent quality of it. I also appreciate in black and white the way that contrast comes out.
Yeah.
It just kind of brings a kind of a timeless, surreal quality, like, you know, to these images. So, I mean, if you take an image of, these are high-resolution images, no? So, I mean, if you probably shoot something 15 years from now and put them side by side, you know, it would work. Along with this in the series, right?
Talk about some of the experiences working with the other persons. We spoke about Ms. Lita and Z and the Governor General. Talk about some of the other.
Well, I mean, I think one underlying similarity between all of them, including Lita, who is probably the most outgoing, is that there is a kind of sensitive part of them when they're put in that setting. There's, you know, there is a barrier that must always be broken. You know what I'm saying? They didn't volunteer for this. They were asked by her to come to me to do this portrait. So it's not that they really even probably wanted to do that. So I find that to be similar. But, you know, it's always a rewarding experience to succeed in capturing or achieving your objective with regards to these things. So they could come in like that every time, and once they leave happy, right? And I get my image, that's it.
Now, Feline, how do you go through the process of selecting who will be featured? Because just thumbing through the pictures themselves, you see more seasoned writers.
Well, it is not that, it's kind of a combination of convenience. As with Zia Jo, we were trying to schedule her for a while for when she would come to Belize. And we made it known to her, your honor is, your spot is here. Just give us enough notification when you'll come. So in the meantime, you know, we had someone else on the list, and we said, okay, you all go ahead until she is ready. It went on like that. So we have a list. You know, that is about as far as I can say, and we kind of contact the different persons on the list and see who is available when, and also for what is what a rotation of gender, a rotation of ethnicity, a rotation of, you know, we kind of go like that. For a while it was in March we did women, we featured the women, and in June we featured the men. So there was a little bit of a system. So that's.
So how many are featured annually?
First it was 2, and then it was 1. Last year we did not feature anyone because we had Mr. Lawrence Vernon in 2013 in the beginning of the year, and Z. Edgel at the end of the year. So this
project could definitely work with some funding, because the library is paying for the framing and things like that. You know, I contribute the image, but there's still an expense, especially with throwing the event and all of that.
Yeah.
I think that's something that you know, Feline is she's a kind of modest and easygoing person. She won't, that kind of person I realized would ask for funding. But if anybody could see the importance of this project, they would understand why funding would be good, and why we should continue doing it and not slow down. This started from 2009 to now, and that's what we've accumulated, and a few more. No? But yeah, I think this is, well, I'm sure, I don't think that this is something that funding would benefit.
Well, thank you, Richard. I'm going to interject because right now, Niche has been partnering with us for the past year, 2 years, through the Institute for Social and Cultural Research to actually cover the cost of the framing. But the entire activity, as I had mentioned before, is a combination of not only our branch but also our headquarters. And the first year, it was rough. You know, I actually did sponsor the first portrait, and then the second one, the banks in Belmopan, they helped, and so did Social Security. And so it was a constant, okay, right for sponsorship, and, you know, rally and rally and rally in order to make this happen. I was speaking with my team at one point about changing it from meet the author to meet the artist. And for the very same reason, you know, we see a lot of our musicians, a lot of our crafts, people, you know, I'm looking at that, but I'm not sure if they'll get photos along the same scale. We're kind of running out of wall space. So
it's 24 by 30 inch images framed, so they're a little bigger as well when they're presented, right? Those are pretty big.
Yeah, and it gives a presence, I would imagine. But I think you could always rotate, and you know, there.
I think so too.
But I mean, when you talk about musicians, especially, they also write.
Yeah.
Yes,
just in a different,
right.
you know,
yes.
medium, and even the artists, the visual artists. So this is something that obviously you have a passion for. And based on the reaction of the artists or the people who are featured themselves, what has been the most compelling, I guess, testimonial kind of thing that actually lets you know and your team know that they're on the right path?
For us, it was a very, I guess, overwhelming experience from Mr. Lawrence Vernon. You know, I'm kind of getting emotional, so pardon me. And in it, it was more so because of his contributions, as I've said, both as a librarian and as a writer, that he, you know, we can see, because we know him personally, we could have seen that he was very happy, his family was happy, you know, the audience members, it was a packed house, you know, and everyone was like, wow, it's about time, you know, it's about time. So that, to me, was one of those moments that said, this we're on track, you know, and no matter the struggles that we do have to go through in order to make it what it is, a successful event, you know, we persist and persevere.
So who's the upcoming author to be featured?
It's as I said, there's a list. So I'll tell you something about Richard and I as well, but there's a list, and so it's a kind of, okay, different persons, our administration, the staff on the ground, we're sitting there saying, okay, who, okay, this one wants this person, this one wants it, okay, who, it goes on and on.
So it has to be a consensus eventually.
Yes. And so I was going to tie that back in with Richard, because when he does a photo shoot, he has about 25 to 50 images. And so we're sitting there together trying to decide which image. So Richard and I, both of us have strong personalities. So Richard would say, Feline, okay, this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. And I like them for this, and that reason. And I'll say, man, you serious? I will go with number 2, I will go with number 4, and I will go with number 6 as my 3.
Thing is that I always win though.
See, that's my point of contention, because he does.
I always win. But I mean, you know, your input is very important. The dialogue is necessary.
Process. We just spoke about that earlier in the show.
It's good to explain yourself.
You just hear what people have to say and do what you want anyway. But I think, obviously, we speak all the time about unsung heroes, not to copy First Caribbean here, but unrecognized contributors to the country. And it can be artists, but I think definitely looking at authors, especially since we don't have as many very visible writers. William spoke about using some of the younger people. We know the poetry and the spoken word is starting to build a momentum again. But it definitely is something to be acknowledged, and hopefully you will get support, because it doesn't have to just be the niche that is helping out. It can also be people from the community themselves, corporate sponsors who can support this initiative.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Feline, one of the final questions I have for you, because as a writer yourself, how do you connect or use this opportunity to connect and perhaps get some draw from the life experiences of some of the authors themselves?
That's a good question, and I can only answer it in that along with the El Salvador experience, part of the impetus for this program itself is that I said to myself, when after all these years and hours of writing and editing and publishing and just a life in the literary arts, you know, I would want there to be some recognition for my selfless contribution to the world. And that there continues to not be one is unfair. And so I want to, I guess what they say, artists, we create the world in what we want it to be and how we want to see it. And so I say in about 30 years or so, I would want there to be some honoring for me. I would want there to be some place where I know that what I have given has been received in a way that it should have been received.
The fruits of your labor.
Right, right. And I'll put out
planning
the
to live 30 years.
You had asked about the list.
The future. You should honor you before then.
Well,
That's a long time.
yes, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
You should honor young people.
But at
too.
the same time, I think that after so many years, you see the consistency. You know, I would not want to give this, even for myself. I've actually published 3 books, 2 books of poetry and 1 of short stories. And not only my short stories, but other people's short stories. I think it would just be too early to say that, yes, let's honor Feline. No way.
No,
you
but
know,
there's
because
different-
it is just too soon.
That's
it's
open
not
for discussion, but I mean, you know, I think you should have some way to honor people in the arts
True.
from early. Don't wait till too long, right? That's,
Well,
that's what I'm trying to do.
Because sometimes they give up, and that's what I think there has to be a system in place. You're right. I mean, you don't give your lifetime achievement award to somebody who did their first movie.
Yes,
Correct.
But
exactly.
they do get the intermittent,
emerging
breaking
artists.
new artist or whatnot.
Yes.
Because people need encouragement, especially in the arts,
Yes.
to keep. And I won't even only say arts, sports as well, because we see that a lot. To keep motivated, to keep going, and I think we really underestimate how important support can be.
Yes.
Not just financial, but support.
Yeah, of
I
course.
definitely agree. I was thinking about actually my cousin Adeli Ramos and her contributions as a publisher, and that the same thing that you know. While I would say
Also a
that
good
Meet
writer,
the
yeah.
Author, yes, Meet the Author would be like a senior author position. There should be something in the intermediate, yes, in order to encourage people to continue. But the author I was going to say that is on my list, because I'll put it out there just in case the rest of the team is listening, is John Alexander Watler.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know that guy.
his stuff is good.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And this
He's been around.
means that if you don't win and we see somebody else coming, then you didn't rally strong enough.
I will rally. I'm building
Pressure
my
is
case
on,
right now.
right?
All right. Well, we want to thank you both for joining us this morning and talking about Meet the Author and underscoring the importance of recognizing the body of work that they have shared with our country. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you
My
for
pleasure.
having us.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a final break, and when we return, it will be for our wrap-up. Don't go anywhere. Open your eyes. Concludes after these messages.